Welcome to Econ Nerds Live, a celebration and discussion of the week's economics, news, and going-ons. Ariel, hello, how are you?
Doing good. My kids are finally back in school, so that's the highlight.
Nice. So you don't like your kids, is what you're saying.
I love the kids. They need to be in school sometimes.
Right. Oh, for the educational purposes, not to get them away from you, just because they were, they need to learn.
They need to be challenged. I also need some quiet. There's both and.
Yes, need to be challenged. We're going to talk about that in Econ in the Wild at the end. I need some advice from you, but we'll save that for the end. A lot of things going on this week. A lot of different segments we have for you, dear listeners. We got a paper of the week. Have a new segment called Ask the Experts. We have an Econ Illiterate of the week. But where I want to start because there's a big news story in the world of the NBA, the National Basketball Association, my second favorite sport. Ariel doesn't know anything about this, but I want to tell you the story and see if you can find the economics in the story. So, Kawhi Leonard. Does the name Kawhi Leonard ring a bell? Ariel's shaking her head. No idea.
I know nothing about the NBA, Matt.
Right. Okay. He in 2019 he was probably the best player in the NBA. Like, he was regarded as the best player. He had just won the NBA Finals for the Toronto Raptors. He was the MVP of that final series, and he's a free agent. Okay, so he's a free agent. And he signs with an LA team. Do you want to guess which LA team he signed with? A Los Angeles-based basketball team.
So they're the Lakers?
Mm-hmm.
And then the team Steph Curry plays for. Golden State Warriors. There we go.
Steph Curry plays for the Golden State Warriors. Great job. But the Golden State Warriors, they are named the Golden State Warriors, but they play in San Francisco.
See?
But you know the Lakers. You've heard of the Lakers, glamour franchise, your Los Angeles Lakers. Kawhi does not sign with the Lakers. He signs with the Clippers, the, woeful franchise. Never won anything, the Clippers, kind of a laughing stock.
I've never heard of them.
You've never even heard of the Clippers.
Nope.
See, this is how unknown the Clippers are. And yet, the best player in the league decides to sign with the Clippers. Why do you think he signed with the Clippers? If you had to guess, like what would induce the best player to sign with the Clippers?
So are they able to offer him a much larger salary because they haven't used it on any of their other players?
Exactly. Thinking like an economist. Okay, well, if you take the worst job, you get hazard pay for it. You get paid more. Okay, but the NBA has a price ceiling, what we would call in economics a price ceiling. There's a maximum price you can pay a player. So the Lakers and the Clippers were offering the same exact contract.
Well, I have a question there, Matt.
Yeah.
It's not a total for a team, so you can't reallocate it to different players?
It's both. So there's a salary cap, like there's the most that you're allowed to pay your players in total when you add them all up. But for an individual player, there's a maximum ceiling that you can pay them. So, for instance, like LeBron James, like you've probably heard of LeBron James, right?
Yes,
okay.
Yes.
LeBron James, second greatest basketball player of all time, in my opinion. Some people would say the greatest. There is an estimate that his value to a team is like over $100 million. Like when he re-signed with the Cleveland Cavaliers, like he went back to Cleveland, like the valuation of their franchise went up by so much. And so it's said he's worth like over $100 million, at least in his prime, to a team, but he can't get paid up $100 million a year. The NBA says, no. Like there's a max salary. I don't know what it is. These days it's a lot, but back then, say it was like 40 million or something. Okay. So Kawhi, so you correctly said, all right, yeah, maybe Clippers could pay more money. Nope. Clippers and Lakers are paying him the same amount of money. Do you know who owns well, you don't even know who the Clippers are. Are you familiar with Steve Ballmer? Do you know who Steve Ballmer is? Does that name ring a bell? Okay, Steve Ballmer is worked at Microsoft, higher up at Microsoft. He is worth hundreds of billions of dollars. He owns the Clippers. So he owns this Clippers team. Can you maybe guess what the big scandal would be? The pieces of information: Kawhi signed with a lesser franchise. However, it's the same amount of money. But I will tell you, the Clippers owner is far, far richer. Not only is he richer than the Lakers owner, the Lakers is basically a mom and pop store. They at this time they were run by the Busses, which is like the family that inherited the team. They didn't have that much money. But Ballmer is not only the richest, he's the richest NBA owner by like a factor of 10. He could basically buy, he has enough money to buy every single team, if that was allowed. That's how rich he is. Can you guess maybe what the scandal that broke this week is based on that information?
There's
Based on what you know
some
about economics? Yeah, go ahead.
alternative compensation going on. Like he got paid in stock for this company, or he is getting his
Yes.
finances managed to grow. It's some like there's some alternative compensation going on here.
The market finds a way. So with a price ceiling, basically the price is capped. It can't go higher. But what happens in that situation is the price wants to go higher. Like the market wants to go to the equilibrium price, which is higher than the price ceiling, but it gets stuck at the price ceiling. And so people find all these like extra legal ways around the price ceiling: money under the table, bribes. So in New York with rent control, like New York has rent control, there's a price ceiling. I think there's something called a key fee. Am I right? Where you have to pay extra to get your keys or something? No?
It well, I'm sure there is. I'm sure there are all sorts of these things, but
Yeah.
not
So
all apartments have a key fee.
Okay. Well, anyways, the market typically finds a way when you have these price ceilings. All sorts of shady stuff goes on. And indeed, that is sort of what seems to have happened. So it seems that, and people had often speculated that owners in the NBA find like off-book ways to pay their star players extra to get them to sign. This one is particularly egregious because Kawhi Leonard, it turns out, had an endorsement deal with a company called Aspiration. Steve Ballmer was an investor in this company. So Steve Ballmer had put $50 million into this company, and through salary and stock, this company was paying Kawhi Leonard $48 million for an endorsement deal. Now, do you know what an endorsement deal is, Ariel? Familiar with an endorsement deal? It's like,
You
hey,
got to promo a product. It's gonna go on.
promo product.
So this is Travis Kelce showing up all over American Eagle ads this week, all over my Instagram, right? Like that's the endorsement.
Exactly. All over your Instagram. So Kawhi Leonard was getting paid $28 million in salary and $20 million in stock to do endorsement for this company, Aspiration. The problem was he didn't do any endorsements. There's no Instagram posts. There's no commercial.
This was so easy, Matt. You could have just made one video, get them into a shoot one time, get 100 videos out of it, change outfits 3 times. I don't know what this company was supposed to be promoting, but you could have done this all under 2 hours in a studio.
Right. So this looks very egregious, right? It looks like it's just pretty much a straight way to circumvent this price ceiling that the NBA has. But the plot thickens a bit. So what can give Steve Ballmer plausible deniability or some sort of deniability is this company, Aspiration, is shady. They're now like all the owners are like arrested. It is involved in all sorts of fraud. So what the company did, it was like an environmental company. They like plant trees, carbon credits, those sorts of things. And so one of the ways that this company scammed people what the scam they were running is they would go to a celebrity. They would go to a celebrity and they'd say, hey, you pay us to plant trees for you. You pay us like $26 million or something like this, or $20 million. Maybe not that much. I forget the numbers, but they weren't on the order of the Kawhi. But other celebrities would do this where they'd say, you pay us, maybe let's say $500,000 to say, hey, I'm donating $500,000 to this company. They're going to plant some trees, going to offset by carbon credit or whatever. Okay. Now I'm the CEO of the company. Okay. From my personal account, I pay you $600,000. So I pay you, Robert Downey Jr. or whatever, $600,000. Now, from an outside perspective, it looks like this company has $500,000 in revenue. That $600,000 that I paid you, nobody knows about that. So the company did this a bunch of times. So it looked like they had all this revenue. So it's like, whoa. So this is the heady days of 2020, 2021, 2022. Remember, everyone was flush with cash, zero interest rates, government's handing out money left and right, right? So this company's like, look at all our revenue. We are this amazing environmental company. We have all this revenue. And then you raise money off that revenue. You say, look, we're growing by, well, you raise money off that revenue, you get loans off that revenue. And I guess you just hope you can get to profitability before anybody finds out that this revenue was all fake, that basically you were paying people for the revenue. So that is the shady scam that the company was involved in. Any thoughts or reactions so far?
Just shaking my head. Like, this is the way it goes. Like, whatever you think is on that balance sheet, you really need to check.
Yeah.
Don't believe everything you hear on Instagram is really...
Yeah, their company's advertising. Well, Robert Downey Jr. was on Instagram, I guess, planting trees for this company.
Right? Like, this is the looking good. You're looking good.
Yeah, yes. And so I guess the question is, to me, it's like the circumstantial evidence is like pretty obvious that this is a way to pay Kawhi Leonard more. Oh, and I didn't even get the history of Kawhi Leonard. Kawhi Leonard has like so much shady stuff in his history. Like he's been investigated by the NBA multiple times for trying to get money outside the cap. Like he has this uncle called Uncle Dennis, who's always trying to get money like on the sly. He has multiple people that have sued the Clippers saying they were promised money that they never got, like that are associated with him. So Kawhi Leonard himself is just always involved in like scandal and mystery. And so what's interesting here is like, I think it's pretty obvious that Steve Ballmer did this. Whether they could prove it, that's, I guess that's up to the NBA is going to investigate. I would be skeptical that they'll find like some sort of smoking gun where Steve Ballmer's like, I'm going to give you $50 million and you please give my star player $48 million to circumvent this. But I also wonder if Steve Ballmer, as an investor in this company, by the way, was in the running to sponsor the Clippers and be there, like to name their stadium. And there's a paper or there's a post I read one time that basically if you have stock in a company or you invest in a company and they decide to name a stadium, run away. It's like always a negative sign. Like whoever names a stadium, that company always then tanks. Like famously, FTX, the crypto exchange that went under, they named, I think, the Miami Heat stadium, or maybe it was the Dolphins. I don't know. But so whoever names a stadium, it always turns out poorly for them. Anyways, this company, Aspiration, I think was their name. They were in the running to name the Clippers new stadium, which should have been a red flag right there. So the question is, did Steve Ballmer know? Did Steve Ballmer look at this company? Everyone's like, oh, look at this billionaire is investing in this scam company. I would posit he probably invested in it knowing he's like, all right, yeah, this would be a good way to funnel some money. This company is, whatever, shady enough that I could probably funnel some more money to Kawhi Leonard, because Steve Ballmer's so rich that $50 million is nothing. For him to invest $50 million in this company, it's like, it's like a cup of coffee for him. The guy's worth hundreds of billions of dollars. I think he gets paid in stock dividends from Microsoft $1 billion a year. That's just what he makes off his Microsoft stock. So anyways, that is a story from the world of the NBA about how the market always finds a way. Price ceilings, you can try to force the price to where you want, but the market will find a way to get to the equilibrium price. All right, now you know about the NBA, Ariel.
Yes, I don't even know what position Kawhi Leonard is playing. Clearly, I know.
Shooting guard. Not that it matters that much. Well, you could, you bring it up at a dinner party. You must know somebody who knows about the NBA. You can dazzle them with your knowledge of the Kawhi Leonard scandal that has just taken place. All right, let's move to our weekly news quiz. Ariel, do you have a news quiz for us?
I do have a news quiz. So,
okay.
Question number 1. New deforestation certification requirements in Europe that are about to be implemented, I believe the beginning of 2026, require producers to identify the exact plot that their coffee beans come from and whether it was a forest 10 years ago. Okay. These requirements are likely to A, favor small producers, B, favor large producers, C, encourage more producers of coffee beans of all sizes to enter the European coffee market, or D, lower the price of coffee.
Okay, so this is a regulation that they want to prevent deforestation. So essentially they're saying, hey, coffee growers, you need to show us that, I guess, you're growing your own coffee. You're not like taking the coffee from some place that was like a forest. Is that right?
So you need to show that you didn't clear the land to grow coffee beans. You
I
didn't
see.
destroy
Okay,
forest
okay,
to grow the coffee beans.
okay,
So
okay,
you
okay.
need to prove that it wasn't a forest in the last, I believe it was 10 years I believe that's the timeline. But
Oh,
essentially
this would be yeah.
you didn't clear this to turn it into farmland for coffee. This was, you know, already coffee growing land.
Yeah, so this is clear bootleggers and Baptists where, as the company, I'm like, hey, yes, please pass this regulation. That sounds good. Everyone's for whatever anti-deforestation, I guess. So that two double negatives, they would
Pro-forestation. That's
pro-forestation or maintaining the forest. So yeah, I push for that as a big company, knowing it's going to be more difficult for small companies to comply. And I have eliminated some of my competition because these small growers, it'll be difficult for them to comply this either because I don't know, they're deforesting or also because it's just the documentation is costly. So yes, this will benefit large producers at the expense of small producers.
ding, ding, ding. You are correct, Matt. Okay, so that's question number 1. Question number 2 moves us to the US. Okay. Last year, Judge Mehta, that is in fact his name, ruled that Google had a monopoly in search. Then they had a trial this year to determine the remedies from that trial. Okay. Just so everybody understands. So he just issued a verdict in the remedies trial. Which of the following remedies did he impose on Google for having a monopoly in search? Okay, so these are your options, and this is a select all that apply. Which of these did he, implement? Did he require the divestiture, i.e., the sale of Chrome as a browser? B, the forced divestiture of the Android operating system, which Google owns. C, a prohibition on Google paying to be the exclusive browser option. D, the forced sharing of Google search data with competing browsers.
Okay, so just to back up, what's funny about this, the guy's named Judge Mehta, okay? Meta is Facebook's name, so it's like, all right, is this guy in the pocket of a big Facebook? I assume it's Meta, the Indian last name, so it's not spelled the same. But, okay, and, so Google is accused of having a monopoly in search, which they pretty much did. I mean, it was very hard to use anything but Google to search. In fact, I believe it's referred to within tech as the most profitable monopoly in human history. Google's search monopoly. Now, what is interesting about this is there's often a history of the government going in to break up a monopoly or action against a company that has a monopoly, and they always do it too late. And so they went after Standard Oil when Standard Oil's monopoly was waning. They went after Microsoft when Microsoft's monopoly was waning. And interestingly, here they've gone after Google as Google's monopoly is waning because now we have these LLMs like ChatGPT, which in many ways are a direct competitor to Google. Like oftentimes I will go to ChatGPT instead of going to Google. So it's interesting that once again we have this pattern of the government being a little too late to go after the monopoly. Now, of your options, so you had a bunch of different options there, all sound pretty draconian. And I didn't hear anything about how this was bad for Google. So I didn't hear anything about them being forced to divest from Android or Chrome. The least bad is the sharing of the data. So that's D. So I'm going to go with it's just D, that they had to share data with competitors.
Okay, you are about 50%. So they did not have to sell Chrome. They did not have to sell Android. The DOJ, the Department of Justice, was asking for both of those things and did not get them. C, as I phrased it, they are prohibited from paying for an exclusive contract. So they're not allowed to say, install Chrome as the only browser, but they are allowed to pay Apple to be the default browser. So essentially, the ruling said it would actually be bad for other developers if they can't receive payment to install Chrome as a browser and use that money to then do something else with, right? So this would be a $20 billion hit in income to Apple. So Apple is kind of like the hot take is Apple fared the best in this monopoly case because they still get their money for essentially zero work of just
right.
keeping
so Google,
Chrome.
Yeah. So
On
Google
an
pays
Apple.
Apple 20. So Google pays Apple 20 billion a year so that when you buy an iPhone, Chrome is installed. Is that right? Is that
Yes, yes.
like
And it
so
used to
Chrome?
be
And before it was exclusive, before it was exclusive. Now I can use a different browser. Apparently, right? Is that the
yes.
takeaway?
Yes. So you can use a different one. I mean, you could always install the thing that's strange about this is you can always install a different browser, right? Like you can go on Chrome and download DuckDuckGo or something, like if that's what you
Right.
want.
Yeah. You like for yeah, you can Google Bing on Google on Chrome to find Bing. You know, the funny thing about Bing was the most searched thing on Bing was like Google, like how do I get to Google from this thing? But what's funny about this though is like, okay, we have Google going, the government goes after them for being a monopoly, and it seems like they just helped another monopoly, Apple, in the process. In addition to helping Meta or Facebook, because they got some free advertising there. As everyone who talks about this probably has to mention, oh, isn't it funny that the judge's name? A lot of monopolies got helped, it seems like, and Google just got a slap on the wrist. But as I said, it's not as big of a deal because Google's monopoly is going away. Like they have real competition from ChatGPT, and I think the story I heard of when ChatGPT came out, Google was so alarmed by this that Sergey Brin and Larry Page, like the founders of Google, like actually went back to work. They like went back to the office. They hadn't been to the office in years. They're like, "Hey guys, finally something's happening. Someone's challenging us. We gotta get it together."
I had not heard that, but it seems believable.
Yeah.
It is, in fact, the rise of AI, LLMs is why the judge decided, he's like, I don't have a crystal ball. I can't see the future. They are, competitors. So it's the Google losing its monopoly is why it got, arguably, why it received like lesser penalties than.
Why it sort of won the case.
Right.
The ChatGPT came in just in time to to have them not lose Chrome. All right, question 3. I believe I'm 1.5 so far.
1.5. So, question number 3. Kraft Heinz announced a $300 million divorce. That is, they're splitting up Kraft and Heinz. What struggle is Kraft Heinz facing? Okay, so this is a select all that apply. Which of these problems are facing Kraft Heinz as they split up? A, decreased demand for processed food. B, a global tomato shortage. C, consumers increasingly choosing generic brands. D, cost-cutting measures reducing investment in new products. Or E, too many products to effectively manage.
Oh man, there's like so many there, right? You gave me so many. So let's take them one by one. A is what people are buying less processed foods.
Yes.
Okay. Let's go with that one. GLP-1s strike again. So people on the GLP-1s, the weight loss drugs, eating less processed foods. So I'm going to go with that one, A. And what was B?
Global tomato shortage.
Don't know anything about a tomato shortage, but sounds like it could be happening. So I'll go with that one as well. So I got A, B, and then what's C?
C is consumers are switching to generic brands.
So I've heard that actually consumers have become more inelastic over time, meaning they're less price sensitive. So as time has gone on, people have gotten richer. They have been less sensitive to price changes. I believe I just saw a story about this morning where Levi's is like raising their prices, and they're not seeing that much of a demand response. Consumers being less price sensitive would say that is not happening, that they're not switching to generic brands. So I'm going to not go with C. Let's go with D. What's D?
Cost-cutting measures reduced investment in new products.
Okay, that seems realistic to me. All right, I'll say D. That sounds good.
Okay, and then E, the combined company had too many products to effectively manage.
That seems correct. Like we're talking about Kraft and Heinz. It seems like they got a lot of different stuff and a lot of different brands. So I'm going to go A, B, D, and E for this one.
Okay. I'm going to have to work out a scoring system on what's all.
I can tell you the scoring system I use for exams. Just tell me what's the right answer.
Correct answers are A, C, D, and E. The only one that is incorrect is that there is no tomato
shortage. Tomato shortage. Okay, so I get A, C, D, and E?
A, C.
Man, that's rough. Okay, yeah, I don't know. I'd have to like actually look at it. That cancels that out. Okay. A, C, D, and E. I think I get 50%. I think I get 50% if this was a multiple choice exam.
Okay.
Oh, so I just missed it. So I just missed it.
You just missed
So
it.
then people are switching to generic brands. So that would say that actually people are pretty, at least part of the population is elastic, and they're switching to, they are price sensitive.
In food. So I did see this same story about Levi's being able to sell their jeans. But what they found is people aren't willing to pay $3 for a Heinz bottle of ketchup when you can get a store brand bottle for 99 cents. Or, if you're going to buy Kraft singles, you might buy the Walmart generic of Kraft singles to make your kid a grilled cheese sandwich. My presumption is that, like, your 5-year-old can't tell the difference in processed cheese squares that are going on their grilled cheese sandwich. And so this is an area where consumers are cutting costs where they don't see a lot of difference. And maybe this is because these are, like, the particular consumer using some of these products hits a little differently.
Okay, next question.
Okay, which of the following is not causing matcha prices to rise? Okay, so this is just pick one. We have A, the elimination of the de minimis loophole. B, 15% tariffs on Japanese imports. C, matcha harvest shortfalls. Or D, decreased demand for matcha.
So we have de minimis. Okay. We have Japanese tariffs. Those both seem like they would hurt matcha. Decreased demand for matcha. Is that so? That one I'm going to go. That's the one that's not happening, because it seems like people like matcha more and more. People keep offering me matcha when I go places. So I'm going to say that there's increased demand for matcha. So that's not what's happening.
You would be correct. And in fact, the only one that could possibly, like, not cause a, right? So this was which one doesn't cause the price to rise. Decreased demand would cause the price to fall. So that was
just a straight econ question.
So it's an econ question as well. But in fact, matcha is growing in popularity. So its price is spiking because it has some increased costs that are causing supply to shift to the left, and demand is shifting to the right. So we've got lots of pressure pushing matcha prices up. Even though, in my opinion, matcha tastes like dirt. I know.
Yeah, I know. I'm
people
not
are
a
going to
fan.
come and hate on me. I would take a excellent cup of coffee. I will not drink a cup of matcha. It could be the fanciest matcha ever.
I'm very unadventurous in some areas. Like, I drink coffee, black coffee. Don't need to try anything else. I drink beer. I don't need to try any other alcoholic beverages. I'm set with beer. I'm set with black coffee for my caffeine, and that's pretty much all I drink: water, coffee, and beer. That's like the only beverages.
Alrighty, well, that's our news quiz for.
Oh, that's it. Just 4 this week.
Just 4.
Okay. Well, all right. Well, I think I did. I think I got 3 out of 4. Okay. So listeners, I don't know how you did. Follow along. Keep score. Get at us. Let us know how you did. Okay. Next, I have a new segment. So I have a new segment. This is it's called Ask the Experts. So this is when I don't know what to think about something. So they got rid of the de minimis exception. Can you explain what that is, Ariel?
Is what people are calling it. So at a certain threshold, which I believe was $800, if the value of goods coming into the U.S. in an individual package was less than $800, it didn't have to go through more customs sorting, and you didn't have to pay import duties on it. So basically, you didn't have to pay any tariffs if it was less than $800. And it could go and ship directly to a consumer. So this was the model that Shein and I think Temu were using to ship directly to customers that are ordering US. They don't have to pay any tariffs. So they eliminated this loophole for China, I believe, earlier in the summer, maybe around May. And then they have now eliminated it for all companies. So if you were shipping a product from Canada to the United States, I did this and I ordered a product, right? And then I got an email from the company and they're like, we are no longer shipping to the US because here is what it looks like for tariffs to ship this good to the US.
Yes. So this was it was called a loophole, where basically if you're under 800, you didn't have to be subject to tariffs or customs duties or whatever. That's interesting that you got an email. I also bought something overseas recently, a very random thing off eBay. I bought a Soviet era wristwatch. It came. So I was like, oh, okay. Snuck through the de minimis loophole. So I was thinking about this and I was like, am I for or against this? Like, should we keep the de minimis or is it okay that it went away? I think how most people approach policy is they say it's very tribal. Okay, did my team do it? Then it must be good. All right, did my team not do it? Then it must be bad or whatever. So it's like, all right, Trump did this. So if you like Trump, you're like, yes, get rid of this de minimis loophole. Like these sellers are getting away with not paying taxes. If you don't like Trump, you're like, this is obviously bad, raising prices on consumers. But, I tried to be a little bit more econ in my thinking. And so I was like, not really sure if this is good. Because on the one side, you would say the de minimis is good because it encourages trade. It's better for consumers, better for like small businesses. Like small businesses probably rely on this more than big businesses. So it promotes competition. But on the other side, you would say, well, you want your tax code or your laws to be pretty evenly applied. You don't want these loopholes. So Ariel, what do you think? Do you think we should have this de minimis exception or no?
Was okay with the loophole, right? And this was my personal experience. I got really mad that I couldn't order things, right? That I wanted, that I thought were made better, and I wanted to, like purchase these goods. I'm potentially going to go to Canada and just buy them, But like in that sense, I'm a frustrated consumer. As an economist, I like it. It seems inefficient to me to require, right, like all of the packages to go through customs. Like, how are you inspecting all of these packages, right? If we're not, I assume they go through some sort of scanner at the beginning, right? Um, I guess I hate all the tariffs, right? I guess that would be my baseline. So at least some of them getting exempted seems good, but that's really unfair to producers who are bringing in products in larger sizes or value.
Well, you also bring up a good point that I didn't mention, that the enforcement of this might be very difficult, like, because all these small packages, our customs people got to look through and you got to fill out the paperwork. So that's an argument for keeping the de minimis, whatever exception, whatever we're calling it. Yeah. So where do you end up on then, Ariel?
I think I end up on, I lean towards keeping it. Also because it's thrown the entire like global package system into a mess. Like, how do you actually deliver these packages, right? So now it's increased a lot of the work and a lot of the burden. And like when you mail a package from Scotland to the US, my husband and I took a trip to Scotland in May, right? If we had wanted to ship something back from Scotland to the US, there would now be significantly more paperwork just to buy a good and ship it back home, right? It seems to me, I think it's now, if it was over $100. So we bought items at the Isla Woolen Mill, right? So they make the wool for Braveheart. We bought some woolen goods. We could not currently ship them back home because they're over that $100 threshold. I
Yeah.
think
So
it's
you were, yeah.
practical in my. If you eliminate the loophole, do you get rid of the tariffs entirely? I don't know where that like plays.
Oh, you were saying, you could get rid of the loophole. You would say before getting rid of the loophole if you just got rid of tariffs altogether. So
If we just got
basically
rid of
everyone
tariffs
gets it.
altogether,
All
or
right,
we made people so mad about tariffs that everybody pushed to get rid of tariffs altogether. Like,
Okay.
which one is the best for eliminating?
Right. Well, obviously, I think both you and I would say that's the best if you just somehow got rid of tariffs altogether. But on the table is just whether or not we, get rid of the tariffs on $800 under or not. Now, you're struggling with it. I was struggling with it too. I honestly couldn't figure it out. And so I thought of a new segment. The segment's called Ask the Experts. So one of my favorite economists, Arnold Kling, he says, you choose what to believe by choosing who to believe. Basically, who you put stock in is generally you'll follow their opinions. So I thought, here we go. Why don't we just ask the experts? We have the LLMs that can mimic the experts. So my two guiding lights of economics would be Tyler Cowen, one of my favorite economists, public intellectual, and Noah Smith. So I just asked ChatGPT, I said, what would Noah Smith and Tyler Cowen say about this exception? And we have a verdict. Noah Smith says, yes, get rid of it. Put taxes on all the things. You want everything to be uniform. Tyler Cowen says, no, don't get rid of it. This is a huge welfare loss. And it turns out they're both on record with their opposing positions. Noah Smith went on a podcast and said this. I found the actual source. And Tyler Cowen has a Marginal Revolution post where he says, keep this exception. It's by by imposing these tariffs, it's a huge welfare loss for Americans. So there was no agreement amongst the experts. So I still don't know, what to think. But after reading through it, I think I'm with Tyler Cowen on this one. That just, and as you said, it's just throwing this whole system into chaos. It's just sort of better just to keep it how it was. So that's Ask the Experts, Ariel.
Okay. I think I'm going to side with Tyler on this one. This is good.
All right, let's go to Econ Illiterate of the Week. Bear with me, Ariel, as I set this up. Econ Illiterate of the Week. We have this video from How Money Works. Apparently, How Money Works does not know how housing works. Shout out to the subreddit Bad Economics for bringing this to my attention. So I'm going to play this video, and I'll stop at times to discuss.
The solution to the housing crisis seems so simple.
Building houses,
home construction,
housing construction,
build more housing, build new housing that people will welcome.
We aren't building enough homes.
I want to build more homes.
building more goddamn houses.
Yeah, that's right. Just build more houses. Well, we've been trying. The number of houses in America has never been higher, and even on a per capita basis, we are doing well by historical standards. What's more—
Okay, let's pause right there. So he's claimed we're building plenty of houses in the U.S., or we have enough houses in the U.S. All right. So here's the problem with that. Even if we are building a lot of houses, that doesn't mean they are where people want to live. So yes, we have a bunch of houses, say in Detroit or in Cleveland, but people don't want to live there. No offense. They want to live on the superstar cities, LA, San Francisco. But is it even true? All right. And so here I have the housing per capita, and you can see it is not actually at an all-time high, that we are not building enough houses. We had way more houses back in the 2000s. So even if this was true, it's not necessarily the case that we have enough houses, but it's not even true. All right.
We are doing well by historical standards. What's more is that if you looked around most big cities in the country, you would be forgiven for thinking that we are in the middle of a development boom, because we kind of are. The problem is that these new homes are almost entirely made up of high-end luxury apartments or McMansions that are out of the price range of people who don't already own real estate. Even though—
Okay, so he has this next claim. His next claim is we're just building McMansions and luxury apartments that are out of the reach of people that buy that don't already have real estate. So first of all, if this was true, would it be even a problem? No, because what he's implying is the only people who would buy this is people who already own real estate. Okay, but they would be moving to that new place, and that would open up wherever they were living for someone else to buy. And so we would, if that happened, that would increase supply, and that would lower prices. And in fact, we know that all sorts of building does actually lower prices. I have this research roundup right here, which basically shows that, yes, building more, even if it's just McMansions or luxury housing, would lower prices because those people got to come from somewhere. And maybe someone's saying, oh, no, they would be their second home. I looked up another study that had the second homes, where second homes are. So second homes are between 2 to 5% of the housing stock, very small, and they are all located in vacation areas. The top 30 places where they would be located are vacation areas. So yes, if you're moving within a city, you are vacating your old home. That adds supply. But it's not even true that that is what is being built. So here we have the apartments and how affordable they are. So in most places, most of the new apartments are affordable at somebody who is at 80% of the average median income. So that is basically somebody who's below the median income. So these new luxury apartments are actually quite affordable. So it's not even the case that what is being built is just luxury apartments. They're just apartments, which people who would rent apartments are typically below the median income, and they are at market rate, so affordable for people. So his claim is not even true.
even those who have benefited from increased home prices can't keep up with these new developments, which is why hundreds of thousands of these properties are now sitting empty across the country. So then why don't
Okay, so hundreds, thousands are vacant. Again, if this were even true, would it be a problem? Not necessarily. There's natural churn in the market, as it takes a few months for somebody to find the place. But is it even true? Oh, let's check the vacancy rates. And all-time lows for vacancy rates. So his claim that there's some sort of mass vacancy problem is not even borne out in the data. So basically his claims, even if they were true, would not matter And all those claims that I just cherry picked from the first minute of the video are not true. So how money works? You are the econ illiterate of the week for making massive mistakes, massive data mistakes just in your first minute of a 15-minute video. Ariel, you like that YouTube channel, How Money Works?
I liked your takedown. Now, I don't know if I trust their advice if they're not getting their data right in the first minute.
Okay, I have a short paper of the week, and then we'll go to Econ in the Wild. So, paper of the week, I came across this paper this week. Is from Zach Bleemer and Sarah Quincy, Changes in College Mobility Pipeline Since 1900. And what the paper looks at is the wage premium. So, if you go to college, typically you make more than somebody who didn't go to college. This is the college wage premium. What this paper decomposed is, does that wage premium look different for a high-income student versus a low-income student? Basically, do the high-income students have a bigger wage premium than the low-income students? And what they found is it wasn't the case, but the wage premium has been growing between the high-income student and the low-income student, basically college finishers, since, I believe, 1970. Do you want to take a guess why it's growing? Why they say it's growing? Ariel?
I think
So why are why they're going to the same schools as someone who goes to the same school? They get the similar college degree. So why is there this gap emerging between the high income student and the low income student, if you had to guess?
Okay, so this is holding steady for major. Like we're not talking the difference between being a
No,
literature
it is
major
no, it's not.
and
You
mathematics.
basically found it. Yeah, you found it. So basically what's happening, according to this paper, is the high income students are disproportionately switching their majors or majoring in computer science engineering. So they're getting higher premiums, whereas the low income students seem to be staying in humanities, which don't have much of a premium. So the big driver of this, according to them, is that, basically high income students have switched to the harder majors, which increasingly are offering higher wage premiums, while the low income students are staying in sort of the easier majors. There's also a composition issue where the low income students, they're basically, as they expand to college, they got more low income students who tend to have poorer test scores going in. So it seems to be like the composition of that are lower, although they very much don't emphasize that in the paper. You really have to dig deep in the paper to find that. Okay. All right. Let's go to Econ in the Wild. This is Econ in our personal lives, things that have been giving us consumer surplus, deadweight loss. This week, Ariel, I went to a wedding, and if you'll remember, a few weeks ago, you brought a story to us about how you could pay to go to random weddings, right?
Yes,
Story?
I did bring up this story.
And I made fun of it, but I'm old, and so I haven't gone to a wedding in a long time. And so I went to this wedding, and I was reminded about how much I love weddings. Weddings are there's just so much fun. Everybody's happy as long as everyone's like okay with the people getting married. I've been to a few weddings where, you were like, this couple is awful match, and those were not as happy. But as long as everyone's happy with people getting married, very joyous. Everyone dances. You get a dance floor going of all ages. You have kids dancing, you have old people dancing. It's fantastic, and it gave me an idea. So maybe this is a new segment. Whatever, dumb ideas or no dumb ideas. You said people pay to go to weddings, so I was like making fun of this, but I was like, oh, that's not actually bad. It might be fun to go to a random wedding, but I do think it would be a little weird, right? But I thought of an idea. What about a club where they have wedding nights? Like you go to a dance club or like a nightclub and it's a wedding night. Now there's nobody actually getting married, but everyone goes there and it's just supposed to mimic a wedding. You come in your suit, maybe you pay a fixed fee. And so it's open bar, but you pay a fixed fee. And so it's like all you can drink like a wedding, obviously that fixed fee would be high. Maybe we bus in some old folks. We go to the elderly place and we say, hey, you got some old retirement people that want to come out on a Friday night? You bus in some old folks to hit the dance floor. As you go in, you get like a raffle ticket, and they choose from the raffle tickets, and two people are the couple, get to be the couple. They get to sit up and we give them a cake and everything. So whatever, my dumb idea is, let's have wedding nights at clubs. Ariel, what do you think? Do we have a business? Is this a potential business in the making?
I don't know what the market size is for this, Matt. I have to say, I don't mind the wedding ceremony itself. I don't like dancing. I don't like loud music. So I wouldn't pay for a wedding ticket, but I'm not paying for any like loud music venue in general. So I don't know. Maybe people do this. Maybe then you could bring your kids. You don't need childcare to go to a
Oh yeah, exactly.
Wedding-
Exactly.
wedding club.
That's where we get the kids from. We need the old people, we need the kids, right? We get the kids from babysitting. Hey, Ariel, you don't like. Yeah. You don't like a wedding. Oh, no problem, but we need your kids. So you and your husband, you guys go out to dinner, you leave your kids here. They're going to have a good, clean, fun dancing the night away. You come pick them up at the end of the night, and you'll get some snapshots. We have the cameras going, you have the photo booth going. So win-win for you. Okay, maybe we even pay you to take your kids. You're coming around.
I'm
around.
concerned with this, but I do think there's some sort of market for it, sadly.
Well, obviously you need to put it in a city because you need a thick market. You need enough people who are interested in this. But I don't know. All right, get at me, listeners, if you want to start this wedding club business. Do you have some Econ in the Wild or consumer surplus? Or are you just in awe of my great business idea, Ariel?
I've been trying to relate my consumer surpluses to economics.
Well, hit me with it. Maybe I can relate it.
Well, so I love the Free Presses Friday TGIF email. So this week the highlight was that Zohran Mamdani is not a socialist, according to the New York Times. Matt, he is not a socialist. He's just for sharing and kindness between people.
Okay. Even though, isn't he a member of the DSA, the Democratic Socialists
He is a
of America?
member of the Democratic Socialist Party. He identifies himself when he introduces as a socialist. They go through the definition of socialism here, which is really the connection to economics, right? Socialism wants the government to own the means of production, right? To own them. His newest campaign staff member has lots of tweets to that effect, right? That she wants ownership of housing in particular as this, because it's a weapon of inequality, that we need to own housing.
All the houses.
As a resource, which I guess is how you freeze the price of rent in New York City. So I guess this, is tied.
You take everyone's apartment and then, you freeze it.
And
again, they should probably look at the track record of the government building homes or apartments in the U.S. At least in California, there's a terrible track record. I believe the aforementioned luxury apartments, I believe it cost the government more to build an affordable housing unit than it did cost the private developer to build a luxury unit in California. Not a great stat for them.
I think they could look at rent control in New York in the 70s if they wanted to know what would happen with rent control in New York.
When people burned their apartment buildings to get out of it, when the entire Bronx went up in flames because the developers couldn't make money on their buildings anymore, so they burned them for the insurance money.
Yes. So, I don't think it's going to end well for them, but apparently.
But he's not a socialist. He's
not a socialist, Matt. So
it's the Democrat sharing of America. This is my favorite thing when they change the terms, and then it's like, how could you be against sharing? What do you hate sharing? It's like, well, okay, let's think through this. Let's think through the incentives. Let's think through what's actually going to happen. I'm for whatever works. My opinion is, if you could show me an example of it working, then okay. But if all I have is a stack of examples of it failing spectacularly and sometimes ending in mass killings, then I'm not for it.
Yeah. So then my question, Matt, is if he's not a socialist, does that make him a capitalist?
On the capitalist side, I've the aforementioned Kawhi Leonard story that we talked about at the beginning. There's a clip going around where they say, "Oh, Kawhi Leonard's not a bad guy. He's just a capitalist. He's just greedy, trying to get as much as he's possible," which really annoys me because it's like the term capitalism is so destroyed because it just means greed in most people's heads. When it's like that's not what it means at all. It just means you have markets and people own stuff and they sell stuff. It's like but it's so synonymous with greed that I actually don't even use the term capitalism and socialism in any of my classes because the terms are so loaded. So when I talk about capitalism, I just talk about markets. And when I talk about socialism, I talk about command and control. So anyways, all right. Any other consumer surplus, deadweight loss, or anything from your personal life?
So I think I made a mistake, man. So I wanted to save money on an Amazon purchase. And I decided...
Oh no, de minimis.
Well, we're going to see.
De minimis strikes again.
So I decided to go in on the weighted vest trend, which makes me very behind the times.
Makes you a VC, I believe.
But I bought a weighted vest. And the first one arrived...
Hold on a second. Hold on a second. I actually don't think you're behind at the times. I think I actually need to explain this to listeners.
Okay.
A weighted vest is like a vest that is weighted that you put on yourself supposedly because it's good for your health. And you walk around with the weighted vest. You go do your errands, you drop your kid off at school in the weighted vest, and supposedly it's good for your core, that sort of stuff. I only know it from listening to the All In podcast where they talk about, oh, you got to get the weighted vest. And I'd say of late, I've started to question the opinions of the all-in people. So I've started to question whether the weighted vest is actually beneficial. But okay, go ahead. You got a weighted vest.
Okay, so I got a weighted vest. The first weighted vest I ordered arrived, the doorman told my kids not to pick up the package because it was heavy, so I carry it upstairs. But it was a 12-pound weighted vest. And I put it on, I was like, actually, this isn't that heavy. This isn't that hard, right? So I went in to order a heavier weighted vest, right? But as you go up in weight, of course the price goes up, right? It's more expensive to ship. You need more materials, right? All of these things. So I go, I'll order one of those open box weighted vests because, it should be just as good. Well, the shipping time, Matt, is very different. So it's supposed to arrive tomorrow, and I ordered it last week on Amazon. And I am not a patient person. I should have paid an extra $12 to have this vest arrive, 5 days ago, because I was being too cheap. I didn't want to pay for the brand new weighted vest. I've spent all week checking my Amazon tracking, wondering, is it coming? Is it coming? Is it coming? And so I should just pay, right? Like, time is money. And I should have just
Right.
paid
Should check it. Should have paid it.
the
Get it while you
2-day
can.
shipping.
When good old Zoran is running New York, you won't be able to use Amazon. Things will take the government, 6 months to make you a weighted vest. As you work in the communal farm, you'll not want that weighted vest.
I won't need it. I will be, growing vegetables
Listeners,
in Fort Greene Park over here.
I'm sort of a, man of the people. I'm anti these newfangled things. I have the old fashioned weighted vest, which is just a dad bod. That's what I have. Extra weight around the center. Anyways, all right. Well, I hope you get your weighted vest. Wait, has it come already or no?
No, it's supposed to come tomorrow, but it still hasn't shipped yet. So I'm wondering if they're even going to ship it to me.
We'll see what comes first, your weighted vest or my Soviet watch that I got from Bulgaria. All right. I need so my last dead weight loss. This is my last dead weight loss, and I'll need some advice on this from you, Ariel. So my dead weight loss is this is gonna sound very old man, and very out of touch or whatever. Whatever, the children are wrong type of thing. So recently I've had all these experiences with my son where I've had to fire the person in charge. So he had like a babysitter once a week, but the babysitter was terrible. She never challenged him. They just played Minecraft when they would babysit, right? And we'd ask her, hey, can you maybe clean up a little bit, maybe do some tutoring with him? No, just play Minecraft the whole time, right? So we had to fire her. He was in a swimming class. He literally has not progressed in 6 months. They just keep doing the same thing over and over again. It's just mostly just playing in the pool, not really a swimming class. His piano teacher, he's supposed to be learning music, how to read music. No, they just jam on the piano for 45 minutes. Cost me $100, right? For him to just jam with this dude, right? All very nice people. All very nice people. Dean loves them, right? My son loves them because they let him do what he wants, basically, in these classes. But we've had to move on from them. And so the question is, what do you tell the kid? What we struggle with is, what do we tell the kid that we've basically fired the person because they're not challenging enough, and we've moved to a swim team, a harder piano class, no babysitter. And so it's like, would you tell the kid this is the cold hard truth of the world, that people get fired? Or basically we just make up reasons like, oh, the scheduling didn't work out? I don't know. Ariel, what would you say you do?
I would err on the truth side, right? And be like, you weren't learning in this swimming class. We didn't see you learning new skills. And so we're finding a new swimming class that will be able to help you learn these new skills that you haven't been able to learn with the last instructor. So we think this one will be a better fit, right? I think you can make that about learning new skills and not about oh, this teacher failed, right? In a way that's still giving your kid the truth.
Hype up the new thing rather than.
But and the same with piano. We want you to grow in your piano skills. We want you to learn these new things. And we think a new teacher will challenge you in that. And in learning new pieces. Like, we'd love for you to learn, like, my kids, we just found a piano teacher, and they start later in September. But I think it's about, like, so I don't know. I am a violinist, so I can tell you violin skills. I cannot tell you piano skills. I never learned to read the bass clef, which is probably a bad mission to make. But in any case, right, like, you talk about it as in, like, we want you to learn these skills. These are important for this thing. And this old way of doing things wasn't working. We're trying a new way because we think this is important. The babysitter playing Minecraft, I don't really have an answer for you, except for her to say, like,
tough.
we asked her not to do this and she didn't follow directions, and it's our job to, like, make sure that you're challenged. Like, I mean, I'd still go with the same answer, Matt. I'd still go with, this wasn't.
Well, that was tough because she wasn't. We just literally got rid of her. Because we figured he's old enough to stay home just by himself. I mean, with my wife's parents live with us, so they watch him, but they don't. All they literally do is just watch him. So they don't speak English, and so literally they just sit and stare at him while that's their version of watching him. So it's less fun for him, but that's our current solution if we want to go out. So, all right. Anything else, Ariel?
I don't think so.
All right. Well, listeners, get yourself a weighted vest to let us know how it is. You know, scold your child or tell your child that the weighted vest is because you're trying to challenge yourself. You're trying to challenge yourself to make life harder. And I guess that's the big lesson for the week. All right. And so we'll see you next week. Thanks for listening.